Hello and welcome to another episode of COVID Saving Snow Tips. This week it's what we think should be happening with the government's handling of the pandemic and associated travel. Good news and bad news to kick off. Moderna have come out with yet another vaccine option. It's still in the trial phase, but it joins that BioNTech vaccine that we announced last week and gives us a little bit of light that there may yet be a winter on the cards. Even better for Moderna though, in a PR sense, Dolly Parton's behind this one. How fantastic is that? Ingham's reported that they've had 50% upturn in customer interest in winter sports holidays. And then a survey by Club Med showed that 50% of skiers and snowboarders from the UK would be prepared to quarantine if it meant they could get away for the winter. So plenty of evidence of a pent-up demand for a winter holiday. But if you're watching this video, you probably already knew that. In the bad news, the Telegraph reported this morning that VIP ski have ceased trading, an unnecessary casualty of the pandemic. They reported it as. Fingers crossed that's not the tip of the iceberg and everyone can weather this storm still. We're still at the mercy of the virus and lockdown is the other bad news, but very poignantly for this week's show, we're still at the mercy of the government's Global Travel Task Force. These guys were supposed to report back on their findings for international travel this month, hence the timing of this episode. They haven't, but I'm still going to charge ahead and let you know what I think we should be doing to try and make the most of any travel that's available if it's safe. And then hopefully you can make your voices heard in the comment section as well. Certainly that'll let the industry know what we're looking for, and you never know, it might make it up to the highest halls of government as well. So let's get it underway. First and foremost, we need a reliable and affordable form of testing. I had a brilliant message this week from Kate Price, who said at the moment there are 8% false positives being returned by the current tests, which at £125 a pop, that's the cheapest version, still means you're paying £500 for a family of four to go away, and it could pop up an 8% false positive. The virus is still shedding RNA into your system 6 to 8 weeks after you've had it. So if you get the virus in January and you're heading away in March, you could still return a positive test, but you won't have any comeback on your insurance or refunds because you haven't got COVID at that time. So the cost and affordability are huge issues at the moment. Kate was saying there should be no testing. I don't know if that's viable for the government at the moment. In a PR sense, I think people are so hung up on the tests, it will be a long time before people have the confidence to let that go. But certainly it puts a big question mark over reliability. In terms of the costs, the transport industry needs to offer them up for free. They should be on the channel, on ferries, on trains, if they're an option, and of course on flights. There is good news when it comes to flights though, and I'll link to this article. United ran a flight from New York to Heathrow this week, and it had free COVID testing involved. So that's starting to move very quickly. And then in terms of accommodation, there was a really good idea from the Sofitel at Heathrow. They have a rest and test fare for their hotel rooms, where you check in the night before, you get the test when you check in, and then if you're taking a flight the next day, you've got hopefully a clean bill of health to show for it, and at no extra cost. It's included in the price of the hotel room. So if you go for one of those really cheap early morning flights, the kind of antisocial 5:30, 6 o'clock flights, then that could be a really solid option. And I know there's lots more of those being offered by different operators. So if you've heard about those, please, as always, chuck the information in the comment section below. Then I think the next big stage is mass testing out in the resorts. They need to commit to testing lift staff, hotel staff, and then hospitality staff in the resorts themselves. Ischgl and Val Thorens have already committed to doing this. They got such bad PR though from those outbreaks during the winter that it's obvious to see why they're going to be best practice moving forwards. Larks reached out this week as well and told us that they've ordered 30,000 masks in. They're neck warmers that actually have the mask in them, and they're just going to go with blanket mask wearing on all lifts in all communal areas. There's no, it'll be like this week, it'll be like this next week. They're just going all season, mask wearing, glove wearing on everything, so you know exactly where you stand, and it's very straightforward. Then on top of that, we've got the operators, the resorts, and all transport should be offering last minute refunds. We know that some companies were best practice last year, like Intersport, who right up to the last minute were offering COVID refunds, and they're still doing that this year. But there were others like EasyJet who not quite so, well, didn't cover themselves in quite as much glory. Some people have left comments though saying I've been harsh on them this year, but I think when the chips are down in those situations, the companies with the right idea will look after you. And I think those who are looking after the bottom line showed their true colours last year. But yeah, again, in the comments section for those, the good, the bad and the ugly of the refund section would be fantastic. And what we're learning this year, I think, as things develop is that definitely, I've said this in each episode, it's going to be last minute. We know that. Hopefully, when the Global Travel Advisory Task Force do come back, they will say that we're on a 5-day quarantine for the winter. And if that's the case, then at Easter, you've got the chance to go in. You could leave on the Friday, the 2nd, Good Friday, or Saturday the 3rd, go out and have an amazing week shredding, then come back and isolate for that 2nd week. It may even be an option to go out for the 2nd week and then you might have to isolate for the 1st week of school. I don't know the legalities behind that, so you ain't seen me right when it comes to that one, but it may yet be an option. 5-day quarantine, definitely more manageable than a 14-day quarantine. All of the links to everything I've talked about is down in the text, and I know that there'll be a lot of opinions on this, so please get stuck into the comments. That is the best resource of these videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.